You're listening to Crazy Shit in Real Estate. You'll be amazed at all these wild but true situations that others have found themselves in. Because on this show, you'll hear uncensored, unbelievable stories from the world of real estate. I'm Leigh Brown. Let's dive right in.
Before you get the rest of the story, I'd love to share a quick message from today's sponsor.
Hey y'all, just going to take a quick break from this conversation to let you know about the sponsor of today's episode. That sponsor is, well, frankly, it's me. It's Leigh Brown University. Look, it's no secret that real estate is crazy competitive, getting more so every day. And when the pie doesn't get any bigger, but the people wanting a piece of it do, you've got to figure out a competitive advantage. And that's why I created Leigh Brown University. It's everything you need from soup to nuts, cradle to grave, point A to point B, whatever point B is. Each of you has different goals. So maybe you're a new to the career realtor, or you're a super experienced pro who can't figure out that next level. There's something in my course that's going to help you break through. It's designed for you before I even met you. So enroll in Leigh Brown University today. You go to www.leighbrownu.com. and I'll see you there. Now, back to this amazing content. So tell me about you. Where are you located? How long you been in and around real estate world? Give me a little bit of background on Donna. And is it Serdula or Serdula?
Serdula. You were right the first time.
See, but I didn't have the O in there, like a doula to help with having babies and stuff. And that's down a rabbit
I didn't have a doula either. It's actually D-U-L-A. And everyone thinks it's Italian, and it's not. It's actually Eastern European. So, like, the only other name that I can sort of like, it's like Dracula. It's the same U-L-A.
Well, he was Eastern European, so I think that fits in.
Yeah, there you go. You've got it. You got it. I don't suck blood, though.
not that you brag about. I mean, people think realtors are blood-sucking, commission-grubbing people. But, I mean, frankly, I don't have a taste for blood. Too much iron.
Minerals, too minerally. But I don't know. I mean, I think with all salespeople, there's always that fear, that worry of, like, there's always that bad thought. But I think on a whole, I mean, I couldn't even imagine selling or buying a house without a realtor. It's so necessary. When you get a good one, it's an awesome, awesome thing.
You're 100% right. The problem, though, is there's so much mediocrity out there in real estate that it actually inspires really good people to get into real estate, which takes a problem and turns it into an opportunity. Because I've met a ton of great realtors who became one because of their really terrible experience on their own end. They said, somebody's got to do this better, and I'll be that person, which feeds into that entrepreneurial mindset, which is the whole perk of real estate.
I feel like with what we do, my company, we're writers, basically, branders. And you're right. I guess in all industries, there's always going to be that huge crush of people who are really not that great. And so it's easy to stand out, but at the same time, it's hard to be found because there's so many out there saying, oh, I can do this. I do this easy. But it's almost frightening what they turn around.
Oh my gosh. So you just said a mouthful there, because so many people do think they can, but then they stop. So in your experience in life, what do you think is the difference between the ones who see the opportunity and the ones that get there? Because you've obviously done the hard work.
Well, I started my business in 2009. So
Great time to start a business. Woo!
Well, is that or work for somebody? The risks seem pretty equal at the moment, at that time. But you know what I think it is? I think it all comes down to quality and customer service and being committed, having that mission, but also having that long-term vision. I think they always say most small businesses peter out after 5 years. I mean, if you hit 5 years, that's saying something. And I think it's because very few people look at it in that long haul type of way. And they're not doing everything that they need to do in terms of relationships and investments, investing in themselves and in the company and all that good stuff.
All right. So before we dig in any deeper, tell my audience what you actually do in this writing space. What's the business you started in 2009? Because I want to ask your insight as a pro after you tell them who you are.
Yeah. So what I started in 2009 is a little bit different than what we are today. But back in 2009, I said, there is this huge need. There are people all over the world and they are on LinkedIn and they are copying and pasting a resume and they're expecting opportunity to hit them. And yes, angels start singing at that moment. But so many people aren't looking for a job. They're not looking for a job. And yet here they are copying and pasting a resume. How silly is that? And so I said, they need help. People need help. And I will say realtors, real estate developers absolutely flock to our service because they are not looking for a job on LinkedIn. They are looking to find their clients. They're looking to find partnerships. They're looking to find other people who can assist them and work with them and refer to them. And they need that profile that tells their story, that's written in a high level manner, that is something more than just hey, I'm looking for a job.
So they're coming to you because they see the opportunity for the resume to tell their story.
Well, it's not a resume, it's a LinkedIn profile.
But it is a resume of sorts.
Well, it depends on how you want to look at it. I believe that a resume is your professional past. It's all the things that you've done. Whereas your LinkedIn profile needs to be your career future. It's really more of your career manifesto. And it needs to be written to your target audience. And it needs to not just say what you want to say, but what does your target audience need to know about you to make them want to work with you, to make them really interested and intrigued. We also have to think in terms of keywords, right? Because how many people know that you exist? But they know they need something. What are those terms that a person might be putting into the LinkedIn search? Because the beauty of LinkedIn, Leigh, is that it allows you, when you search on LinkedIn, it doesn't just throw out a whole bunch of people. It's people that are connected to you. And people like to work with people who are somehow connected to them.
Especially in an increasingly disconnected world where we've gotten into tribalism and we go to our echo chambers. There's something really impactful that says, all right, so this person is even remotely connected to me. Maybe we could start a conversation.
Yeah.
And you really need to write a book and call it the Career Manifesto, because that would be a great book title, by the way, for your little LinkedIn project here. That's a shot over the bow for thinking differently about this. Mm-hmm. Because I was sitting here in my little LinkedIn as a resume, even though you're not looking for a job, it still is telling a story, because I look at it as storytelling.
It is storytelling, right? It is.
But I love your concept on future casting, because it is absolutely future casting into it. So tell us, how did you land in the LinkedIn Career Manifesto space from where you started in 2009? Because LinkedIn appeared about that time, right? Isn't that about it?
It sprung alive in like 2002, 2003. Reid Hoffman was the founder. Yeah, it was that long ago, believe it or not. It's older than all of the other networks, social networks out there. And so I was in one of those dog sales types of high pressured environments. I had a huge quota hanging over my head. I had just started a territory. I was selling software, but I was a reseller. So I was selling the exact same software as my competitors were selling, that really helps you understand the concept of personal branding, because when you're selling the exact same thing that your competitor is selling, you have to start to think, what's really the differentiator? And then you start to realize that it's you. And it was as I was, making those cold calls. I used to do 75, 80 cold calls before noon every day. I found myself, I was oftentimes, whether it was before or after a call, if I had like a great call coming up or there was an interesting call that I was going to do, I would always go into Google. I'd type the person's name in, and their LinkedIn profile always was like the number one result. And it never really told the story that I needed to know. And I found that it was like, why are they telling me their schooling? Why are they talking about job description? Like, that's not what a person really wants to know about you. And then, Leigh, I had this crazy epiphany, and it surprises me that it took so long, but it was, if I'm searching these people, are they searching me? And I remember pulling up my LinkedIn profile at that time, and it looked just like my resume. And it was basically everything that I hated about all the other profiles that I was looking at. Mine looked identical. And yeah, and that's when I was like, wait, there is an opportunity here. And at that point, I really started to write more compellingly in a much more warmer type of way. And it was odd as I was doing this. And with each iteration, I found that cold calls went better. When I would book meetings, there was this rapport earlier on that was being forged. And I was making the connection that, you know what, these people are looking at me, and I have this opportunity to shape how they perceive me.
You're writing your whole book right now, by the way. So this is like your section 2, you're shaping perception.
Well, I am a For Dummies author. I am a For Dummies author. I wrote LinkedIn profile optimization for dummies.
Nah, girl, there's like a whole self-help motivation development book for you. It's LinkedIn plus. There's so much here that really does make sense. And so I've got to segue this over to realtors. That's why they have to think, and holy smoke, she's talking to me, because in real estate, you are the product. It is not the houses that you sell. It's not the technology or the negotiation or any of that. It's you, because realtors can provide the same task level things. The difference becomes the connection, which hopefully then you supplement that with knowledge, competence, and expertise. But they have to like you before they give you a chance to demonstrate your knowledge, competence, and expertise. Yeah. So I'm very curious, Donna, when you picked your realtor the last time you personally bought or sold a house, did you go to their LinkedIn?
I did.
What'd you find? The same thing you find on everybody else's?
Well, I'm crazy in this regard. I check everybody out on LinkedIn. But I will say this. When I met my realtor, and she helped us sell 2 houses and buy, 3 houses now? I've been all over the place.
So she should love you very much.
Yeah, and I think what she loves the most is we just call her after we found the house that we want. But I originally found her, it was on what was it? We walked into an open house, and she was set up. She gave us a card. And I went back, I checked out her LinkedIn profile, and I saw that she knew a lot of people that we knew. She was in a lot of the same circles. She clearly knew our area that we were looking at. And that really helped. There were a couple things at play. It was right place, right time. She did spend time on her profile. She had that presence that made me feel really strong and comfortable with her. But it was also that it's not just that profile. It's the fact that she was putting forth that effort to educate, to show that she was a part of her community, that she cared. And I loved all of that.
So that business card became a launching pad. And I run into a lot of millennial agents who they think the business card is a thing of the past. So what would you say to millennials who do business primarily on devices and on screens? Would they have missed that opportunity with you, that you took that card not to save it on your refrigerator to call it later, but to as your visual reminder to go do the online research? I'm kind of intrigued by those steps.
Well,
tangible into the intangible.
Well, Leigh, here's like a little learning lesson. I don't know if your audience knows about this, but are you familiar with the QR connecting code on LinkedIn?
There's one on LinkedIn?
Yeah. So if you go onto LinkedIn.
Right, I know there's one on Snapchat, but I don't understand Snapchat.
So if you go onto LinkedIn and you open up the LinkedIn app.
Yes.
And if you look right there, there's like a QR code right there. Do you see it?
What?
In the search bar?
Search bar.
Yep. And let's watch this. Now I have mine up. I'm going to scan yours. I'm scanning it online right now, and look what happens. I just scanned it.
That's so cool.
Your profile came up.
What? Isn't that? Where's yours? Let me see yours.
All right. So I'm going to hit connect. Now I'm going to go back. I'm going to hit my code. You're going to hit the scan. When you hit scan, it's going to turn it into like a camera. So just take a picture off the screen.
I mean, on my LinkedIn or on my camera? Take
your camera and just scan my code.
I'm at the restaurant now. because now all the restaurants are using it. Oh,
Yeah.
the angle's off. Oh, no, there it went. How about that, y'all?
So maybe the business card is dead.
I don't know, because then you would have to remember to scan it, connect it, and look at it later, which I don't remember anything unless there's a little card in my pocket. That's why I buy dresses with patch pockets, so I can keep things in the pocket and find it before I put my clothes off at night.
I was going to say, I'd be pulling out wads of paper out of the dress after I washed it.
I know, I'm my grandmother. I keep a tissue in here. I keep business cards in here. But I always clean it out at the end of the day because I do the laundry sometimes and my husband does it sometimes and he will complain if it melts in the dryer. But anyway, so we can connect that way. And now tell me, when you're looking for those clues, LinkedIn can give a lot of clues out besides the connections. You mentioned that the realtor you met with and you were stalking demonstrated a knowledge level of community. It's no secret to you that a lot of realtors seem to think they can demonstrate their knowledge by just listing that they have an open house here and a listing there, which is incredibly dry, boring, and not engaging. So was there a content that made you say, what exactly is intriguing to you in the way of, well, just overall LinkedIn content? What would people be well advised to explore? And I'll just tell you, as I teach classes on social media, I mean, I read many years ago and I could never find the author. Somebody referred to LinkedIn as the pressed khakis of social networks. And it is the best description ever because it is pressed khakis. It's not very fun and exciting, but it's very useful. So
I take issue with that because I think at one time that is absolutely true. I feel like to me, there's been two real big transitional moments for LinkedIn. 2016, when Microsoft acquired them, that was a huge pivotal moment for them. And it was right around that time that they really started to put so much more effort into their LinkedIn feed and keeping it sticky and stopping the spam and stopping these like automatic posts that were just boring to people. But then also the pandemic, I think, has made a huge difference too. The work from home, not having that water cooler conversations, and people taking it into a different area, taking it to LinkedIn. And like, if you go through the LinkedIn feed today, especially if you start to train it and show it by actually being somewhat active, following hashtags, liking people's posts, things like that, you'll find that it's actually really fun. And people aren't just posting about boring work stuff, but they're really giving some great feedback and advice and ideas and assistance. I think it's a different LinkedIn. It's a warmer LinkedIn. It's a more personable LinkedIn. But I'm going to say this. What my realtor had done is she was posting with some regularity on LinkedIn. I'm one of these people. I'm not going to say post every day. I'm not even going to tell you to post 3 times a week. I'm going to say post, but post in a manner that makes sense for you. And if that's once a week, fabulous. If it's once every 2 weeks, hey, that's not bad. It's better than nothing at all, which unfortunately most people do. But this is really interesting. And this is something that I think will help drive the fact that posting on LinkedIn is important. That is less than 1%. Less than 1% of monthly active LinkedIn members actually create content on LinkedIn.
Less than 1%?
Less than 1%. I know, it's mind-boggling.
Okay, so does that include shared content, or is that people who are typing something in or doing a live video?
Posting. Actually creating content, whether that's a share. It's not, now this is not referring to liking, it's not referring to commenting, but actually creating the post. There are 675 million total users on LinkedIn. And the total number of active users in 1 month is 310 million.
So what you're saying is really easy to stand out. You will just do something.
There are 9 billion views of content per week, benefiting those 3 million users.
Look, if that doesn't inspire you people to go post something, I don't know what will. Okay, so Donna, you are
low barrier of entry.
Right. So what would you say to post about? What is going to be the low-hanging fruit for LinkedIn content that would make sense? Obviously, we all have a different audience. We all have a different expertise. So where do we start? It's not, Instagram's easy. Take a picture of your lunch and say, I'm over at the cantina. or Facebook, you show your kids' first day of school. What's the easy layup for LinkedIn?
With LinkedIn, the sky is definitely the limit. I mean, you want to keep it professional. You want to keep it a little bit more leaning towards your career and your business and what you're doing in that regard. But at the same time, I would say if you really want to get started, think of one piece of advice that you wish you had heard earlier in your career. One piece of advice, post that. And isn't that crazy? It has nothing to do with selling houses or being a realtor, but just what's one piece of advice that you wish someone had given you?
What's the one piece of advice you wish somebody had given you early in your career?
Oh my goodness. Well, I will say this. I've had some amazing mentors. And one of my favorite pieces of advice is an old sales manager said to me, be brief, be bright, be gone. And I think of that all the time. That's something that I really use constantly. Be brief, be bright, be gone. I had another manager say to me, it's better to apologize than ask for permission. That was another really good piece.
I live by that all the time myself.
I think movers do. But so I would say, think of one piece of advice. Maybe think of a quote that inspires you. Post a quote, just a quote that inspires you, and add a little context. Maybe the next week, there's something funny that happened during the week. Just something funny, something silly, something that was really shocking to you. Maybe the fourth week, tell a secret. Tell a secret about yourself. Oftentimes, it might be something like, you know what, I own my own business, but I didn't graduate college. And that's okay. Maybe something that might let other people know that it's okay. It's not something to be ashamed of. It's something to actually celebrate and say, hey, there's other ways of getting to the point you need to get to. So think in those terms. And then once you start getting that type of content out there, every now and then you can post a house or post a success story. Hey, we got this sold, made these people happy. You don't have to do that all the time.
Okay, so you said that one of the content pieces could be, I never expected this kind of story. And of course, we're here chatting on crazy shit in real estate, where a lot of my listeners are professionals and they're sitting here thinking now about their LinkedIn strategy, but they really want to know some inside skinny, something that happened to you in a real estate space. And especially knowing that you're not a real estate professional day in and day out, we love the perspectives from outside of the trenches, as it were. So what story did you come up with that would be something that you found to be unexpected in your own house dealings in life?
All right. So it was a year ago. I don't know if this is what you're expecting, but I'm going to tell this story.
I never have an expectation. That's why I don't preset my guest interviews, because I like to be surprised.
So it was a year ago, just a few days ago. I mean, like truly to the day, practically. A year ago, we were selling our home in the midst of the pandemic. And the buyers, they had their inspector come. He knocked on the door. And I had a lovely conversation with him. He told me how he was so looking forward to the cooler weather because August was so hot. And he said it's really hard being out there. He then gave me his card and he said, if you're looking for an inspector to the house that you're buying, I'd love to do this for you. I took my kids and my husband. We went to a restaurant and then we got a call that he fell off our roof and died.
Died?
He died. But here's the thing. He did not fall off our roof. He actually was in our bedroom. He had climbed up into the attic. He was wearing his mask and he was having a hard time breathing. And he actually slid down the ladder. That's why we thought we had heard the ladder. We were thinking roof. And he died in our bedroom. Crazy shit that happens in real estate, huh?
I don't even know what to say. I'm heartbroken for his family. And then I'm also thinking I would have had to stay in a hotel every other night of owning that house, because
this is what I take back from it. You never know what's going to happen. I mean, he was actively looking forward to the autumn. He was trying to get us to purchase his services. Now, I think he knew he was having a heart attack. I think he knew that he was sick, that he wasn't feeling quite right, because he didn't look all that good now in retrospect. But he pushed through. He was pushing through. Like he wanted to get home, but he was doing everything he needed to do. And I often think of him because he lived that last day forward motivated, and he had no idea what was going to be in store for him. And it's sad, but I also feel like in some ways it's hopeful and it's positive.
Oh, immensely so, because there's one thing people have probably had challenges with during the pandemic era. It's that future casting feels impossible because you don't know what today's looking like, because yesterday was entirely different and I don't know what tomorrow is. And so when you have so much just discombobulation and so much, people just sometimes they freeze in place, and he didn't freeze in place. He was just future casting too. The weather, the next inspection and everything, and probably thinking,
getting a new client for his
indigestion, I'll just deal with it. So see, this goes in your career manifesto book, because this is that anecdote at the beginning that reminds people of why they want to future cast, or it could also be at the end of why you never stop future casting. So see, your book is writing itself during my podcast, just for the record.
And talking about future casting, the name of my company is Vision Board Media. Talk about future casting, right?
Vision Board Publishing is going to be your publishing arm. And then Shazam, now you've added another company because you need 10 companies, 10 streams of revenue to become truly independently self-sufficient. So that's another stream of revenue. I mean, we're just building this out, Donna.
I love it.
LinkedIn next. All right. So if somebody wants to reach out to you and find out more about Vision Board Media, they want some consulting, some input, some writing skills, some Donna magic in their life, how do they reach out to you and your company?
They just need to visit linkedin-makeover.com. And that's where we do branding. We do branding for individuals. We do branding for companies. With the individuals, it absolutely is LinkedIn, and it's helping them stand out, make sure that they get found. And it's such a great network. There's so much opportunity there. And unfortunately, so few people really ever know what to do to get the traction. So oftentimes they just sort of move on thinking, this didn't work. But the truth is it really does work. You just need to have that person, that, that company that kind of can take you by the hand and show you what you need to do. And for us, it's really all about the branding and the story and that profile and getting that out there in the right type of way, in a strategic way.
What you just said pushed a quote to the front of my mind that I don't even know who wrote it. It was in just a random devotional, and it said, "Vision without action is just a dream. Action without vision is a nightmare." And everything you described there is you're going to help people take action with their vision so they can go achieve some things, and they won't just go hazardly make things that don't connect where they feel they have to give up. So you're going to inspire people to not give up, to future cast, and be like your home inspector, where they're thinking of tomorrow, whether or not it ever gets here.
He was moving forward. God bless his soul.
Well, thank you for coming on the show and for giving us a lot of really good insights and tips and mindset shift, along with a kind of heartbreaking but also inspirational story. Donna, I really appreciate your time, and I'm excited to connect more in the future.
Me too. Thank you so much, Leigh.
Remember, guys, if you enjoyed this episode, you know what to do. 5 stars, a nice review, click to share with a friend or colleague, go to the show notes, connect with Donna, and try those QR codes that I didn't know existed in LinkedIn either. After you do all those things, tune back in. I'll see you next time. As always, I'm so super thrilled that you joined in for more crazy shit. And if you're a realtor, investor, inspector, lender, or just a regular human being who happens to have an unbelievable story that you need to tell the world about, or frankly, you just need to one-up the story you just heard, then make sure to DM me on Instagram at Leigh Thomas Brown, or tweet me at Leigh Brown, or frankly, any social network where you hang out. I'm there. And if you had some fun, then you totally want to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes.